This is Thriving Chiropractors, where chiropractors supporting chiropractors and talking to chiropractors that are thriving beyond the four walls of their practice. This is Dr. Austin Cohen with Thriving Chiros. Welcome to Season 2. And, thank you everyone for Season 1. It was just epic to start seeing all the responses that we got from it. And Season 2, what's great about Season 2 is we are live from LVE. So we are with Dr. Josh Handt from New York. Dr. Josh, thank you so much for being here.
Dr. Awesome, man. I'm psyched to be here with you, bud.
So I've known Dr. Josh Handt for a long time. His family's very involved with Life University. And, we knew that he would be such a great guest because of the value that he could share. He's been in practice for a while. He's not a life grad. We won't hold that against him. But he is a big life supporter. And so it's just a great contributor and a big asset, of course, of life. And, with Thriving Chiros, as we did in Season 1, we do the same thing in Season 2, is we kind of go straight to the jugular. First question. Yeah, it's not so much about like the story, kind of getting where you are. These are very, 18-minute. They're kind of like TED Talks. And so usually our first question is what we want to know is, when you graduate chiropractic school, if you could look back and think of a time that was a pivotal moment, maybe a decision you made, a book you read, or something that happened that shaped the success you are today. If you could look back to that time, the people that are listening right now are chiropractors in practice, or they're students right now that are going to be graduating soon. So we've got a huge range of people, but think about that and what would be that moment or pivotal time for you?
Yeah. So if I look at where we are now and then I look back, getting ready to graduate chiropractic college, something I did, I went and visited my father's practice up in New York City and, decided that's where I'm going to start my practice. And the one thing that I did that really transformed my belief in myself, because I think confidence is huge, was actually signing up, even before I had my license, even before I just finished, or maybe I had just graduated, I signed up to do, in New York City, we have street fairs, like these block parties, if you will, of businesses that are everywhere. I think they have them all over the country. In little towns, but we have tens of thousands of people. So I decided I'm going to sign up for a street fair before I have my license, see if I can talk chiropractic to people, bring people into the practice. Couldn't start them, but nonetheless, that street fair that I did, my first one, I think we had 15, 18 patients came in from that, and that just built such a huge amount of confidence for me. Go, wow, I can actually do this. And get people in the office. It's
funny you say that. So the thing I talk to either young chiropractors or seasoned chiropractors is whenever they feel stuck or they feel lack of growth is just doing something consistently, but you got to get that small win first. Yeah. And like once you probably got that first patient to be like, oh yeah, I'll come in, or this sounds great, let me come in for an appointment. That one win realized to you like, you're like, all right, I can do this, right? I mean, you're also an endurance racer too, as well as I know. Is there any part of that too as well where you can tie into like some of the success? Like, do you look back at like that's kind of a huge part of like your success in your career and how that translates into work?
I don't know if it's an actual huge part of my success as far as being a chiropractor, but what it has taught me tremendously doing these ultra distance running races is that there are going to be times that are going to be hard. There are going to be times that are going to be challenging. You may not feel the win every time, but if you're only celebrating the wins and not going through some of the suck, sometimes there's no room for growth. If you're comfortable the whole time, where are you going? So, yeah. What
are some, endurance races is of course like one thing I know you're pretty involved in, and those it's something I do for the exact same as you described, right? It's not so much about doing a marathon. I say I did a marathon. It's more so about building habits, discipline, the mindset. What happens when things get really hard, right? Like, can I push through that, right? What are some other things you would say you do that instill confidence, that help with your growth to get you comfortable being uncomfortable?
You're right at 100%. It is the habits, and it's the habits. For me, it's starting my day and it's finishing my day. And I'd say good habits for a long time. This past year, starting January 1 in 2024, I did this program, Heart 75, which probably zillions of people have heard of. I did it more for the regimentation. I love checking simple boxes that make profound differences, and I'm finding that more and more in practice. That now I'm, I don't have as many practices right as you do, and I think that's quite amazing. But I realize it's the protocols that you set in place for your life. You can start to build these same things into business, and just their check boxes to get done, and that's where growth for me is really starting to show up a lot more,
and
all over the place.
If I were to look at Josh Handt's like weekly schedule, like I'm sure you're a very regimented guy.
Yeah.
Like what is the morning? Is there a morning routine? Like, do you have like a pattern you follow in the mornings?
Yeah.
And then also like you mentioned something like at the end of the day too as well. Like what does like those like patterns look like for you?
Yeah. So mornings, I'll keep it very simple. I'm up super early, sometimes 4 a.m. depending on the day. Is an exercise, usually a ruck, 45-minute ruck. Get back, have some bulletproof coffee, and during that ruck, I'm usually doing a walking meditation. So it's 4 a.m. There's not a soul to be seen except for maybe a deer or the random fox that walks around. It's the walking meditation, ruck, coffee, usually read. I want to get into journaling. I haven't done that yet. That's something on my radar right now. But visualization after, and then I'm usually in the car and on my way to work.
So funny you mentioned the walking meditation. So when I was, as I build my routines, one thing I did was Tony Robbins' incantations. And I decided to combo my running with the incantations so I can get the movement and also do the positive affirmations. So I was running through my neighborhood, and this is at like 4:45, 5 in the morning. It's completely dark outside. I'm the only person on the road. And I'm running through the neighborhood. I have my headphones in, and this is before AirPods, by the way. So all of a sudden I'm like, I am the one. I am the power. And I'm saying all these things, and all of a sudden I hear dog barking in the background. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Tony has a dog like in it. And I look down, and there is a dog chasing me, about to bite me. And
not funny, but
I like literally remember that. And I have not done a running incantation since this experience, which was back in like 2012, 2013. But that was it's interesting you mentioned journaling. Like, did you used to do it, and did you notice an impact from it?
Yeah, it was really just almost like a brain dump or like these innate thought flashes. I wouldn't set out to write a specific thing. I would set out to just put a pen onto a piece of paper. And I just found it great. Like, I'd have these really great ideas, and I was looking through some of my notes that I actually did on my phone in 2015 at Life Vision. I'm like, wow, I haven't used this app in a long time. Going, wow, all this stuff has come true. The stuff that I was putting down. So, yeah, I find it very valuable. I mean, the universe doesn't know unless you let it know. Yeah,
and we got to listen to Joe Dispenza this morning.
Unbelievable.
I mean, who was just an unbelievable. For those that aren't at Life LVE, you definitely need to make it for the 2025 one and continue going forward. What would you say right now if I were to look through Josh Handt's like podcasts or Audible, like books he's on his desk right now? Like, what are some things you're like dialing into right now?
I'm always listening to Real AF, which is Andy Frisella's podcast. I'm in Tony Robbins' podcast. I'm into a bunch of different books on, we'll say, functional health, so learning weird things on blood work. Just that type of stuff interests me because as an athlete, I've learned in my recovery, not recovery from alcohol, but recovering from an event or recovering from an endurance run, that all the little things, the habits we mentioned early, make a huge difference. And I want to start to figure out why. Okay, why is X food making me perform much better? Why is 7.5 hours of sleep better than 7 hours of sleep for me? So I'm studying things like that.
Yeah. So this is a question I ask all my employees as they're like going through the interview process, and I love asking this question just really to anybody. If I were to go to your computer right now and open up the browsers on your computer or on your phone browsers right now, what are some sites that would pop up right now?
What would you see? You probably see somebody on eBay with cars. I'm always searching for cars, not buying cars. I'm just a car fanatic. I love that. But what else would you see? I usually have some kind of training, whether it's learning. I'm learning a lot about AI. So I've bought courses on AI, on social media marketing. I love learning functional medicine or functional health classes. I'm in the middle of classwork with that. So that's always, I must have like 10 or 15 tabs open at a clip.
If you were to give a tactical, obviously AI is a big buzzword right now, and I think it's huge. If you were to share like something tactical you've learned in the last 60 days on AI, what's something you could share?
So I've used ChatGPT as the primary one. I have the free one, not the paid one. I think it's called a plugin on my browser that connects it to the internet so it can search and research with you versus just using its own database. So I'll write an email out to my practice. I'll plug it in, ask it to act as an expert copywriter, rewrite my email. So I give it what I want it to write. Write it like it's a 10-year-old can read it, make it 1,000 words. Mine might be 300. And it expands on it. Then I'll take it back out, put it in a document, edit it more, and then I have the perfect email. It's a useful tool. I don't let it do the work for me. I have it as an assistant that's much smarter than me, that can add more value to what I'm putting out there.
It's interesting. So one of my good friends, actually, he wrote a book on AI, and actually he talks a lot about ChatGPT. And in the paid version, what you can actually do is in the top right, you can actually tell it a description about yourself, like who you are, what you do, what your purpose is. And then underneath it, it'll ask you, like, describe your voice tone. So what I did was, and he taught this, is you go to ChatGPT and you upload a blog article that you've written that has not been through ChatGPT and say, this is a blog article that I wrote. How would you describe my voice and how would you describe the tone of my language? And then you literally just copy and paste that into it. So now going forward, anytime you want to share anything, it's just directly, it's actually your voice that you're using. But it's your point, right? It's like, I know a lot of people that are scared of it because they think it's going to take away jobs, where actually it could leverage jobs and opportunities. And we have a software engineer who uses it for coding to help them out. What are some things that keep you motivated, man? I mean, obviously you've been doing this for a while now and you're still hustling and still working out. Like what keeps you going?
I mean, as far as chiropractic, I mean, I think we're at the tip of the iceberg. And I think every generation of chiropractors has probably said that, but I really think we're at a tipping point. You know, what's gone on in this country and in the world, people waking up to, realizing that natural health, what we do as chiropractors, we're the tip of the spear. And wanting to be part of that and wanting to inspire and to help people just not just survive but thrive is fun. You know, seeing people come off a table, they're just pumped and excited to be healthy, or some person that comes and goes, holy cow, I haven't not had a headache in 25 years and now I can do whatever I want. That stuff fires me up. And in the fitness world, I like to think of myself as a 45-year-old who has old man muscle that can just keep charging forward. I think there's a lot to do with resilience and doing hard things, like James Stockdale. For those of you who don't know who he is, I'm not going to tell the story, but look him up. I call these Stockdale moments when you have these really incredibly hard, challenging moments. You did it in your 100-mile race. You've done it in these events as well. It's really a pivot point that allows you to look back and go, holy cow, if I can do this, everything else is going to become easy. So I think of it that way with really everything I do. Is it life, butterflies and roses all the time? No, not at all.
It's interesting, right? Like, I think you and I probably went through the generation of, I just remember when I first started in practice and people were very skeptical and doctors were definitely not referring to chiropractors. And, that was 15 years ago. And now we're in this generation of people, like, we get referrals from doctors, like medical doctors and surgeons and podiatrists and physical therapists. And I just don't feel like it was as common. And maybe that was just my level of confidence back in like 08, 09. But it's just interesting to see now, like, you're right. I mean, dude, people are getting it. Like, this is cool. I haven't shared this with too many people yet, but my daughter recently actually shared she wants to be a chiropractor.
Oh, cool.
And she's 9 years old. And it was just so cool to hear that, of like, she loves what daddy does. I've never told her I want her to be a chiropractor ever. And I want her to make her own decisions in life. But it was just like one of those moments of just, kind of leading by example, right?
Yeah.
How would you describe kind of like your leadership style, though? I mean, how you lead your team? I mean, what's
style? How would I say this? I wouldn't even know how to describe the style.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to think about. I try to lead by example, I guess would be
that's awesome.
The easiest way. Do what I say I'm going to do. And if I don't, they got to point me out.
That's
vice versa. It has to go both ways.
Which, by the way, like, as somebody who does I lead the exact same way. And to me, that's actually I feel like personally, and that's just
integrity, right?
Integrity, but just people are always watching, for sure. And there's a lot of fluff that's out there. But I mean, I see what you do, right? I mean, I know you're the real deal, of course, of what you share. Now, this is always my last question, by the way. It's my favorite question.
Uh-oh.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? Like that Josh Handt who was walking across that stage, graduating from chiropractic school, walks over the stage, and the other Josh Handt is on the other side. What would that, like, older, wise version of Josh Handt tell the new Josh Handt?
I would just say enjoy the journey, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard. Just don't quit. I mean, it's simple as that. I love where I am. I love that I get to be a chiropractor. I love that I get to have friends like yourself, other chiropractors, and it's kind of neat to be on this journey. So I would just say just go, head down, and have fun.
I love that. And honestly, that's, to your point, like, don't quit. That's exactly why I tell a lot of my docs to do endurance races, because at some point during an endurance race, it will be hard. Like, if you're doing a marathon, mile 20, it's going to get really hard. So your, like, character shows up at that moments of times, right? Like, to me, in a 100-mile race, when I was doing that, I remember mile 60 thinking, wow, it's already been 24 hours. I still have 40 more miles left. It's like, what do you do in those moments? And like you just said, dude, you keep pushing on and you move forward. You don't quit.
Yeah.
because usually there's a lot of success on the other side of that.
Yeah, there's so much potential. We as humans have so much more potential than we think. I use chiropractic as my superpower, right? The best biohack in the world. And I think as chiropractors, if we just see ourselves as the neck and back docs, which unfortunately is still out there, that's literally like going to, a coffee store and just getting a coffee versus, like we have all of this menu. Chiropractic is the future.
Yeah, and it works, and it's worked for hundreds of years. So what if people want to find you or connect with you, what's the best place for them to go?
You can go to NewYorkChiropractic.com or just find me on social at Dr. Josh Handt.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here today.